aka Addy, your camp lead here for the Ohara and base camp. Can you guys believe it? We are in week 3 already. It's insane. Time flies when you're having fun. It's been honestly a fruitful 3 weeks thus far, and I'm hoping that all the builders that have joined the camp have taken the knowledge that I've been providing you guys with and just collaborating with everyone. I think that there has been a lot of fruitful information from week 1, just learning user development, user personas, user stories, how to input that into a prompt framework, leveraging a prompt framework, the CI framework. It is just so much information, so much value here in this camp. And if you guys are tuning in on X, it's not too late to join the camp. Make sure you guys join. This has been tons of value. Last week, we briefly went over just more or less debugging. I think that's one of those things where we all don't like it, but it's essential when you're building and necessary to continue the sustainability of your app. So this week, we'll be going over more or less the validation and distribution tactics on how to distribute your app. And I think that it makes sense to kick it off with Chintan from Coinbase, or Base, I should say. Thank you so much for coming through. And I'll kick it off with Chintan first and foremost, so you can kick us off.
What's up, everyone? Good morning. Excited to you guys are doing this. It's so cool to bring builders that are excited about coming into the space to build mini apps. I think mini apps are the future, and I'm so excited to talk with you guys about it. I mean, effectively, it's content. It's content that gets massive distribution, but in the form of like a real usable app. So yeah, Addy, what do you want to cover today?
Yeah, man, absolutely. I guess let's talk a little bit about just you, what you're doing within this space, and then we'll get into some questions. But just kind of want to know, like, what you're building, what's going on in your lay of the land, and what brings you here today.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Chintan. I'm head of engineering for the Base app, and I've been at Coinbase about 4 years. I was at Uber before, Qualcomm before that, but while at Coinbase, my focus has been on Coinbase Wallet, and it's been a pretty fun journey. Lots of good and awesome ups and downs. That's what you would expect with crypto. But I think what's been like remarkable is we've been able to take Coinbase Wallet, turn it from, honestly, it wasn't a good wallet before. We're playing like catch up with competitors, and we were able to turn it into like a really world-class self-custody wallet over the past few years. But then we saw a new opportunity, an opportunity where, okay, self-custody is working well. We introduce smart wallets that use passkeys. The UX was getting better. Base had launched. Things were getting just like so much faster and cheaper. The concept of gas was like out the door because it was just cheap and we sponsored everything. And we saw this opportunity where like, our wallet's really going to be the thing that brings 1 billion users on chain, or are really great wallet experience self-custody a means to an end? And what is that then use case that brings 1 billion users on chain? And we started seeing incredible stuff coming out of Farcaster, the social protocol, Zora, XMTP, and we started seeing these Lego blocks being formed across these open protocols, across financial markets, and a lot of people were building on Base. And our belief, if you look back in history, like the apps that have gone viral have all been some type of social app, right? Those are the ones that bring people together. People work together on them and interact with each other. And we thought we had this really neat opportunity by using the benefits of on-chain and open protocols like XMTP, Aerodrome, Farcaster, Zora, etc., to build the Base app, to build a super app, to build an app where people can come in and interact with this global on-chain economy, create and earn from their creations, build apps and get instant distribution across multiple clients via mini apps. And so for the past like 9-ish months, that's what, I've been cooking on with the team. I think you all have access to the base app. We've seen great builders out there like Ohara and others really then leaning into AI and how to accelerate the usage of AI to make builders like y'all, that are coming into the space to build incredibly delightful, consumer-friendly, epic apps that are just like get people hooked in a good way,
Yeah.
and so that they can have fun. And so we've been building that for the past 9 months. We launched it back in mid-July. Super excited about that. And now what we're focused on is really growing the flywheel, right? And when I say flywheel, the thing I specifically mean that is uniquely enabled with the base app and these open protocols is any person's, any builder, any creator, any curator, their ability to earn, to create something, whether it's art, whether it's a post, whether it's an app, whether it's content. Everything is content, even if it's an app. And their ability to create that and then earn through distribution, monetization, open markets, and letting global participation value what they've created. And so the team right now after our launch has been focused on bugs and polish, of course. Not, we got to launch something. That's really important to get that feedback. And yeah, things have bugs and that's okay. But more importantly, the flywheel of how someone can go from creation to posting about it to earning. And what does that flywheel look like, right? And creation doesn't just mean like an artist or musician or, what we typically think of as creator. Creation can mean builders like y'all creating a mini app and you post about it and it goes viral. And then others participate and then they're posting because they love it so much. And that's all well integrated into the mini app. And that flywheel goes from a public social feed that has text or video or mini apps, all this type of content, to then also it can go back into a private feed. What we call a private feed is like a group chat. And if you didn't know, you can move like the context and content from a public feed right into a private feed. You can just post a mini app link into a group chat in the base app and boom, everyone can use it. And I'm in these group chats with like 200 plus people. They're just having a ball and it's really cool. And then you get these two flywheels working with each other. And then the inputs to these flywheels are creators, are builders, are curators. And then you also have traders, right? And that's what the team is focused on right now, is making every part, every contributor, every input to this flywheel just magical. And our North Star, it's going to sound crazy, but our North Star is for everyone that creates on the base app to be able to earn. And to earn quickly. It could be 24 hours, it could be 1 week, right? But we are literally measuring the time from when someone creates something on the base app to how fast they're earning. And really trying to make that as fast as possible and sustainable as possible. So
Nice.
that's my like sort of intro, hi, hello, welcome, and what I'm excited about.
Absolutely. Slava, raise your hand, man. What's going on?
Hello, Chintan. Welcome. Sorry about that. I was in the back end just making sure everything is working properly. We're streaming.
Properly.
Appreciate you taking the time out. Really wanted to kind of piggyback on what you were saying with creators and content, software being content. And I feel like it's just the evolution of the canvas that we're working with now, where like, yes, even creators can now make mini apps. I'm not sure it's just developers, right? I mean, if you're a painter and you want to make a beautiful new experience with your paintings, you can do that now by just Vibecoding. And that's what we're trying to really, I guess, champion, is that anyone can now build a mini app and earn from it. Like, take your creativity, put it into a feature set, and allow others to now interact with your art further than just, a GIF, a video, and an AI generated video, I guess. And it seems like content is evolving in that way, right? Like, we used to just share text, then we went into images, then GIFs and video, and now it's all apps. I no longer want to just interact with the video. I want the video to talk back to me. Maybe I want to direct how it changes or where the movie actually goes. And I feel like we actually have the tools to do that now. And you guys have made it really easy. I've participated in other like decentralized social, experiments that even Coinbase has tried before.
Yeah,
And I've seen what it was like, and it seems like we are now at the cusp of where everything is able to coexist and be interoperable, to where we're no longer like, oh, which chain are you on? It's which chain are you using for what? Are you storing on this? Are you transacting on, let's say, base app? Where does your mini app live? So it seems like we're able to now cross these bridges that we weren't able to cross before, able to give these tools to actual creators to develop the mini apps. And I feel like that flywheel is literally within an hour now on base app, where like I'll post something, you can get someone to buy it, and yes, they'll get compensated right away. So that flywheel is definitely working. We're just trying to see like how else we can empower the non-developer to now realize you are a developer, you can build.
Yeah, I think that's a really good take. And yeah, and that's why I'm like, when I talk about what we're building, what the ecosystem can do, what new entrants to this ecosystem can do, I specifically try to use the word builder, which is, I think, just much more encompassing, welcoming. Everyone has the ability to create. Everyone has the ability to build. And I kind of think about it maybe in like two ways. So I think one is just like my thesis around AI. And the second is the type of experiences we want to see, like everyone should want to see when they're building in the base app or building on chain. And so let me like start with AI really fast. I think like the most sort of direct way to say it is there is no downside to going all in on AI. There's just no downside. The actual downside, the actual biggest risk of AI right now is people not going in hard enough. That is the biggest risk. And what I mean by that is, you know, I think early on the tools, the agents, the models, whatever, they're kind of like, okay. And like if you're a developer and we were playing around with them about a year ago, they're like, yeah, you know, they don't do what I want it to do. They get confused. They lose their mind. They hallucinate. Yeah, of course. These things are evolving. That's fine. And then fast forward 6 months. Oh, dang, they can do so much more now. They can go beyond unit tests. They can basically one-shot apps. But yeah, it's still not okay for complex things. Yeah, so what? You're not looking for perfection. You're looking for incremental accelerants. And I think like one big mindset I've shared with my team, and even I've advocated just wholly at Coinbase with Brian, is AI is adapt or die. And if you are not thinking how, like, it's not how can AI solve this? It's why can't AI solve this? And yes, sometimes it won't be able to because models are not good enough today. Sometimes you will try, you will fail, and you will learn how to prompt better, right? And then hopefully, you know, the pendulum swings more and more to AI is just solving more and more things on a daily basis. And I want to give an example. So I like in the base app team, we are some of the biggest users of AI at Coinbase. Every engineer, including myself, is expected to use it, to think about it. Whenever trying to solve something, I push my engineers to think, not only engineers, product and design, and anyone actually, just send off the question to Cursor, right? Cursor today is my entire operating system. I have more Cursor windows open than Chrome tabs. And so just give it a shot. There is no downside. And then iterate and learn. And part of it is like, people think, AI can't do this. But you have to think of AI right now in its maturity level, probably like a 17 to 19-year-old. They think they know a lot, but they have a lot to learn. And so you have to coach them more like a junior developer, more like a junior engineer. Work with them. You can't give up on them, because if you give up, they don't get to grow with you, right? You have to think of them as like just a partner here. And so like on the team, we literally have like hundreds of bugs, hundreds of tickets, whatever, right? And we just we're building tooling where we can push them to agents and literally have like a parallel agentic roadmap and a human roadmap on this team, where humans are doing more complex things And the more lower complexity trivial things, we just have a parallel agent roadmap. And like, it is AI first everywhere we do. And the same thing happens with mini apps, like the stuff that Ohara is building. It's amazing. And like, I think a lot of it is inspired by earlier tools like Replit, where you could just basically put in a prompt. It has like lots of great structure and enables people to build out apps. And for AI, there's so much to learn by trying. There's so much to learn just by doing. Right, and that's what I like really want to inspire the builders here is just try, right? Just try and push and try lots of tools, and none of them are going to be perfect, but you will learn, and you have to learn as fast, if not faster, than the AI is evolving, right? It sounds like very dystopian, but that's the truth. And then on like the app side, right? So like you're using AI, you're using incredible tools like Ohara, and then on the app side, the thing we are seeing in the ecosystem, in the builder community, is many folks, there's like a cohort of builders that come in and be like, oh, I want to build a mini app, great. And they're like, oh, great, I want to build it so that I can like do something degen. I think that's okay. That's totally fine, right? But where we see some of those types of apps failing is you have to know which audience you're catering to. Are you catering to a degen audience? Or are you trying to do something degen for a consumer audience that maybe has never experienced some of this on-chain stuff, this crypto stuff? That's where you're going to grow the pie. That's where you're going to get more users. That's where you're going to get people to get the aha moment. And so when you are building these apps, lean into not making the app a crypto app. I don't think that should be the goal. You should make something that is just an incredible app, period. Something that would top the App Store charts. And it is only better because you've used on-chain primitives. You've enabled newer, unique like experiences like betting or like staking, but like don't use the word staking. It's just the idea of earning rewards along the way. Global leaderboards, anyone can participate. This is all enabled because it's on chain. And the thing that we're really trying to change in terms of how people are building mini apps is put on the consumer hat. Like your parents, your friends, people who are not in the space need to get it immediately. You have to use the best apps in the world out there. And what is the hook? And then it becomes 10x better because it's on chain. So remove all the jargon, like even minting is jargon, trading is jargon. Like no one wants to hear that. Just do the thing behind the scene, right? And then you gotta, I think some of the mini apps that have worked the best are the ones that just do one single thing really well. And I promise you, like, don't overthink it. Be as dumb, naive, trivial, and insanely simple as you can. And start there when you're building these mini apps. Get that muscle, and then you'll start seeing what like works. Like honestly, like just a picture where you scratch, like rub it off with your finger, and the person that does it the fastest in that day, like gets the picture. Like just trivial things, right? And then it's a one of one. They own it. It's on chain, whatever, right? Like start with just the most trivial things, or like there's lots of sort of alpha on Twitter of people like, oh, build apps. These are some apps that can go viral. Just like try them, try building them, right? And like apps need to be, in my view, the principles are simple, delightful, and actually like get to the value prop as fast as possible.
Nice, Chintan. I love that, because if you was to ask me 6 months ago, I can build a mini app and then have it distributed on the base app, I would have said you're lying, right? And this is facts. This is true now. You can actually build mini apps and you can now distribute them on the base app. You can distribute them on Farcaster. So the distribution on here seems like a lot better compared to Web 2, right? Because Web 2, you build up, let's say, a lovable, you shoot it up, and you pray and hope that you get some type of distribution by going viral. But it seems like with Web 3, if you're able to build a strong app, as you said, and a simple app, the distribution seems a lot quicker, more fun. Can you talk a little bit more about like how Base is activating that distribution for mini apps? Because I think that's important for builders to know, so they don't think that their apps is just going into the abyss.
Yeah, that's a great point, because the thesis behind the mini apps is it's a simple, effective way to test out a thesis, get some distribution, and try it. And like, let's start with like how you can get distribution, and then let's talk about what we're doing to help amplify. So the places in the Base app where you can get distribution, we have currently like a home tab. It shows some featured apps. It shows some trending apps. Featured apps are ones that we work closely with the developers. And it does require like a very high bar in terms of UX, in terms of value prop, in terms of consumer experience. We really look for, and in our docs, we're evolving our docs. Please be brutal with us in terms of feedback on how the docs on base.org/docs can be better. But like, you shouldn't be asking a user the second they open their mini app to sign in, right? That's just a weird construct. Like, it needs to be in the moment. It needs to be in the context, right? So featured apps, we work closely. We are trying to expand the pie, the number in the featured apps section, as we continue to up-level the quality of mini apps. Then there's trending mini apps. There's a carousel there. We sometimes see like hit or miss, to be very honest. Like, the trending stuff is just based on-chain interactions, how many people are using them, etc. Sometimes those numbers like are sort of like botted, and so we try to, you know, have guardrails there. But we see trending mini apps and it's cool, but then sometimes you click in and the experience is just not that good, right? So we're working with those developers and some of the criteria there to make it world class. And then you have categories, right, in that home tab, right? So lots of different categories. You see the different mini apps, and we need, what we really want to help, and what we're working on is like seeing a random mini app sort of put in front of you. I think that's like less beneficial than, yo, Slava, your friend on in the Base app or Farcaster use this mini app, right? How many of your friends are actually engaging with something? And that's the power of the network here. So we're working on stuff like that through notifications. Then the second distribution point is the feed itself. I think a good thing for any builder here is like, whenever you're building out your mini app, think of the viral loop, right? The viral loop, when someone's using the mini app, how does it get back onto the feed? Like, oh, I just won this game, or I just kicked Slava's butt on this game in tic-tac-toe, right? Whatever it is. Or I made money. That's like a great CTA to push back onto the feed to drive that virality. That is purely in the hands of the developer, right? Getting users to post back into the feed, generate, you know, organic virality, etc. But also then think about CTAs, where you can take your mini app and maybe move it into a group chat with your friends, right? Because then if your friends start playing it with it, like, dude, look at this cool thing, let's play, right? That also starts getting sort of virality, but on a non-public graph. It's private group chats. Okay, now outside the Base app, and we have push notifications and all that too. Now outside of the Base app, we want to help developers and builders.
Before you go outside the Base app, so I've seen a lot of creative. I used to work with a lot of artists, so the circle that I have is just creator oriented. They like to build experiences that don't really have on-chain interactions, right? They're not looking to make money. They make a free app and people just interact with it. If there are less on-chain interactions within the mini app, does it hurt them in the trending? Like, are they hurting themselves by making it a free app is pretty much the question. Like, as long as the interactions are the same, it's being shared the same, because there aren't any on-chain transactions, does that hurt their chances in trending?
That's a great question. So actually, I'm going to also write this down to make sure we are very clear in our docs around off-chain plus on-chain usage and how that impacts trending.
Thank you.
So some of the signals we look for, like, and a lot of this is on protocol, like Farcaster protocol, right? So you don't necessarily have to have on-chain transactions like a trade, swap, send, buy, whatever to go into the trending. We look at analytics as well that are on protocol, like just which clients are opening which mini apps, like which Farcaster clients are opening which mini apps. Inside the base app, we try to build out more analytics around like dwell time. How long are people inside these mini apps, right? Are they sharing it back into the feed? And that's one of the things going to the second question, like how is base helping developers? So this is a little bit alpha, but we're about to launch some cool stuff around the builder side related to how to make your mini app successful and great, including analytics. That if you use the MiniKit SDK, the types of analytics that can be generated for you in a dashboard to understand who's coming in, who's using your mini app, where they're coming from, and then eventually we'll get to more sort of advanced analytics like dwell time, et cetera, right? So I think like we want to empower devs and give them the information to understand like why or why not are people using their app, what should they do to increase usage, etc. And honestly, like there's a part about building mini apps that so many people are working on and how to make that easier, like you guys. And that's like moving. And then there's a part about how to grow the mini app. And that's where we're really leaning in hard on our base builder side to enable developers, because it's a new muscle, I think, for many people, right? And so how to make that easy, how to give them tips and tricks, how to create that distribution for them, because that's what builders want, are users. And I think there's like a really important thing I just want to emphasize. I think it's better to have 10 people or 10 users that absolutely love the heck out of your mini app than 1,000 who just barely like it. And so like as folks are building this out, it's okay to start with 1 to 2 users that are just absolutely obsessed about your mini app because they love it and they're opening it up multiple times a day. Then get to 10, then get to 20, then get to 100. But don't try to like be the thing that goes like absolutely viral on day one. You should go for that. But like there's a way to get there too.
Awesome. That's amazing, Chintan. I think when we look at where things are going, and I haven't really, we keep hearing the on-chain economy, but there's also something brewing, and that's called the vibe code economy, right? Where you're able to iterate so fast and, build the app and then launch it, see if it works, iterate based on feedback. What are your thoughts when you hear about vibe coders economy, and what do you see that going within the next 3 to 5 years on the base app?
Yeah, I'm super excited about the vibe code economy. I think vibe coding, and I paused for a second because I think vibe coding can have like a bad connotation.
Yeah.
Like I think it's fun. I think people being able to think and express, and then the magic of AI helps them actually like realize it, is incredible, right? And that, I think we're not actually in a real vibe code. We're in a let me try to vibe code, but then fight with the AI. So I'm excited to actually get to man, I could just be walking down the street thinking of something and like spit it into an agent, and then 5 minutes later it's built for me. Like I think the time from idea to production is incredible, right? And that has to be fast and amazing. So I'm super excited about that. And I think in the next like 3 years, I want to see millions of incredible apps that can be used on the base app. I think that should be our goal. It is the #1 place to go and get the latest and greatest apps. It's not permissioned. Anyone can build on it. And it actually has distribution across multiple clients. And there's no sort of tax or fee associated with it. And you can do the things you want, and we'll build more and more better primitives to make it feel more and more native. But I think the way to get there is to first get like 10 to 20 absolutely killer mini apps built, then get to the next order of magnitude, then the next order of magnitude. And I hope we get to a place with AI where actually I could just open up the base app and actually vibe code a mini app right inside of it. And it would leverage like, you know, tools like Ohara, Replit, or whatever, but I can just have a simple interface and be like, oh man, this would be so cool if I could like, oh, I saw something on the feed. It inspired me to build this new game. Boom. Yo, base app, build this for me. Let's go. And that's it. That's the way content is created. It's just content at the end of the day.
Do you imagine that just being like directly in the feed, or like a separate interaction altogether with the base app? Like, do you imagine it as like, you know, quote unquote software as content within the same Farcaster timeline, or would that be a separate feed of just mini apps?
I think the answer is both.
Okay.
Both.
like
Why
that.
not? Like the feed of mini apps is the like quote unquote the store.
Yeah.
Right. But then the mini app should show, like, I should be able to create the mini app directly on the feed itself.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right?
that's what I'm imagining.
Yeah.
Like you look at the post, you hit the button like prompt instead, you prompt it and it just comes out as an app.
And then and maybe behind the scenes, boom, like we send the prompt via MCP out to Ohara's MCP, and then Ohara creates it and deploys it and returns back a link, and that's it. We're done.
Yeah. Well, I think we're a little more integrated with the Farcaster SDK already, to where like I think we can just deploy it straight into the timeline. So we're getting there. I think that's a vision we both want to see. Sounds awesome. Thank you.
Chintan, I do have a question for you, man. With all these great apps that are being built, right? What's one app you would love to see that is not like a Degen app, you know, more or less masked with Web 2, but like on the underlying technology is Web 3? Like, what is that one app you want to see?
I don't know. I kind of just love all fun apps. Okay, this is gonna sound silly. So I'm spitballing. I have a whole sort of like long laundry list. There's no one particular thing. I think like, I don't know if you all are familiar with like Miniclip. It's just like an app, a game site, right? Just small little apps, small little games that are just fun to play. But also like one game I loved just playing when I was growing up was Super Off-Road, right?
Okay.
Top-down view, you run on a racetrack, etc. I love that like sort of genre of games where it's like sort of the 8-bit style games that can be multiplayer, right? Super Off-Road is like you have 4 cars on this little racetrack, and then you can bet on it, right? So like, what am I like? Can I bet against a human or I bet against a computer, and kind of just like put some of the betting here as for fun. So like that genre of like 8-bit games with a little bit of betting. That would be fun. I think there's like a functional type of app I'd love to see. Maybe 2. So one, I think it's like in today's world, it's very hard to schedule things with people, right? And it's crazy. I think this is such a weird problem because calendars are easily accessible, right? It's just like fucking link, right? And then but it's always like, hey, you guys free here, whatever. Like I think there's something around the ability to just like schedule like fun things with your friends that are all busy, that all have like jobs or family or whatever. Just make that super easy, but make the whole sort of scheduling thing easy, not just like getting the time, but like, yo, let's like, it should start from a yo, let's hang out this weekend. And then something comes back and says, well, you guys are free here at this time, and there's this event going on in SF, and I booked you a table at this restaurant. Like, please make my life easier, right? Because I think so much of the planning is like the anxiety of planning, rather than if just a plan is given to you, be like, yeah, I'm in, right? And then you can like pay it back to like the person that made the agenda, or the agent that made an agenda, or the restaurant thing, whatever. And then I think there's like a third one, just, you know, spitballing here. I think I do this personally when I go on trips with friends or family. I spend a lot of time like planning, curating. I'm the dude. I'm the person who's given the responsibility of like make sure we are well fed. And so I have all these like Google map lists saved. Like I have one for Japan. It has like every amazing restaurant. And so it's never about like, it's all starred, these restaurants. And it's like wherever we're walking in the city, I can just like, oh, we're hungry. Great. Open up the app. Oh, there's a starred place. Like we should check out 2 minutes away. Right. I think that in itself is content. Right. And like, how do you monetize that? Right. So this is a genre of taking stuff that is walled off in the Web 2 world that you made, right? A dope list of the best places to eat in Tokyo that's sitting in Google Maps. Extract it out, put it on chain and monetize it. Because I would pay for it.
It's interesting because it seems like the apps kind of are dictated by what flywheel is possible and when monetization comes in, right? Because like Web 2, it didn't matter because it was like, oh, I'll just make any app, put up ads, I'm done. I'm going to monetize my app with ads. But now you kind of have to be a little more creative and not just be like, oh, I'm going to put a box for ads. Now you have to finally find a way of providing value in that action, within the activity, to then be able to monetize the app.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I think the under the radar thing in all of this that I want people to think more about is by making this mini app that's on chain, you get to literally identify money sitting on the table. Why? Because and what I mean by that, if I go back to my Google Maps list example, that is money on the table, right? Because I have a ton of friends, and I've never asked them to pay, but I have a ton of friends that ask me, hey, you guys went to Japan, like, do you have recommendations? That happens all the time, right? And like, you're not looking to make a quick buck off of your friend, but rather it is a signal that there's demand for the domain you're good at. I'm very, very good at finding incredibly good restaurants. Like that is something my friends know that about me, right? And so like, because that demand exists, you can monetize it. And that's the marketplace, right? And that's what I mean by like, by putting stuff on chain, you have such a big opportunity to find all the places where money is just being literally dripping and left on the table, and to unlock that for people.
Yeah, it seems like Vibecoding and now like the app coins that you can attach to the app just make that so much faster. Because before you'd have to go for like MVP, pay some developers to even get any kind of on-chain stuff happening before you maybe get money 6 months down the line and then still have to be hungry. Now you can vibe code multiple apps in a day, attach an app coin and see like, is there a need? Are people supporting me in this vision? Maybe I'm not presenting my vision properly, you know, and then you can iterate again and iterate again, and so much faster, because as soon as you reach failure, you can iterate on that failure and do it again better. So I feel like you can reach failure so much faster now.
You can reach failure incredibly fast, and that's important. And I think it's an important part for builders to recognize, like, if and when you build an app, you got to be like very critical about which part failed, right? Because your thesis could be right, but it could be the mechanism of how it was monetized that could be wrong. That's not resonating, right? And like, that's the skill that people need to learn too. And then my last request on apps, you know, those like all those ads for games. I like games, by the way, where it's basically like a fake game. Like the ad is a fake game, and it's
I hate that.
I was like, honestly, if someone just built this game, I would play it all day long because of how fast I can go from download to just like a fun little game. Just please build those.
I agree. I hate seeing those ads, and then when I come down to click on it, it's like no game at all, and I'm like,
I know. It's like, hey, how did you make this ad? Is the tech already there, man? But you know, those companies have such great boilerplate stuff where like the complexity of like, buy this thing, buy that thing, whatever they're doing, it's crazy. And like they just have like these templates, I'm sure they're replicating, but just build those games.
Yeah. No, you're spot on with that, Chintan. I have one more question for you, man.
Yeah.
So Modu is international. And what I mean by that, Modu could understand several languages. I speak Spanish. So that means that any Spanish developer is able now to speak Spanish into Modu and build apps. What does this mean for base and international builders? Because we're seeing a growing population of builders just, within the past 6 months, just vibe coding. I'm fully locked in with the developers and the builders out in Africa. I'm seeing a lot of movement in South America. What are your thoughts and where do you see this going?
I think it's two-sided. I think I think like agents and things like Modu that help vibe coders build. When the source language, like the native language of the builder is, different than English, I think that's incredible. And I think that's a hard problem because like the way you express something in one language, like it's a mapping problem to like how the agent understands it. So like that is just a fundamental thing that should be solved. I think that's great. But I also think a superpower that Modu and any other agentic type of solution should have is the ability to know how to build for a target demographic or a target audience. So much of it is cultural. If you are building for the global population, you need to know who your audience is and like some of the cultural nuances. So I think there's like the literal translation side, but there's also, hey, like soundboard with me, Modu, because I really want to target users in LATAM, for example, but I am a builder in Japan, right? And like, I might know a little bit about the audience. I might know a lot of bit about the audience, but like I'm going to prompt in Japanese, but then I want the outcome to be for Latin American population, right? Like, I think there's a whole sort of end-to-end thing to think through here.
Yeah, I agree. Just because I was testing it out with Modu. So in Dominican Republic, I'm Dominican. We use a lot of slang, and I was taken back on how well Modu understood Dominican slang. And I was telling this to Slava, and I was just like, "There's no way that Modu's understanding this," because at one point it was only Dominican to Dominican that we could understand this, and now it's like, wow, Modu can understand what I'm talking about. So it's just really eye-opening, and I just want all builders to know that this is possible. This is definitely possible.
Yeah.
Slava, any thoughts? Any other questions you got, man?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions from our community as far as like cross compatibility with other chains, and what are your plans to introduce the rest of the ecosystem to base app and mini apps in general, monetization within mini apps, distribution on other ecosystems, if you can dive into that. And I don't want to take too much of your time. I know we said we'd let you go. So this will be the last one, I promise.
Yeah, no worries. So right now, like the focus of the base app, and even like Farcaster protocol and how we're integrating that and Zora and all of it together, we're primarily focused on the base chain. But that doesn't mean we like the base app supports multiple L2 EVMs. It supports. We're going to have base app support for Solana too. Legacy Coinbase wallet still supports Solana, etc. But what we really want is like if we distribute too broad and into too many other ecosystems, like I think it's too early right now where like a lot of the builders and the eyeballs are on base, right? As one example, not the only place, right? Solana has great traction too. And we want base to be a bridge here, not create some type of island. So in an ideal situation, like there are some like technical challenges that we just need to make easier for builders. Like if a mini app is built, right, you should be able to swap out the underlying network, right? So if someone built a mini app trying to target the users on base, that's great. And then they should be able to swap out the network and be like, oh, I think these users may also exist. The specific target I'm going after may also exist on Monad. Great. Just swap out the underlying network or make them compatible, etc. And so I think there's work to be done to make that easier. Because in an ideal world, why should a builder be specifically, like I asked myself, why should a builder ever specifically be targeting a chain? In most cases, I don't think they should. I think that is just like a legacy relic of the fact that like crypto has chains. But the reality is like we're still early, and that there are, you know, some chains with lots of users. So like Solana has lots of traders. Base has traders plus app users too. And you know, like to be clear, I'm not being exclusive anywhere. I'm just trying to highlight where I see the majority of stuff. And other chains have different types of users as well. And so I think when builders are thinking about like, oh, chain X or chain Y or chain Z, they should really be asking themselves a question like, am I targeting a specific user that exists only on this chain? And why? Or am I really trying to maximize my shots on goal and picking a chain that just has users and activity and volume and a good community and good builder support and a good ecosystem that supports the overall community? And so like, I think probably for most builders, the set of questions is the latter. What do I like about this chain? What do I like about the community of the chain, the ecosystem, the support I get, the grants, etc. Unless there's some super, super niche like user group you're going after.
It seems like also the underlying ecosystem, as you mentioned, for like a mini app to be able to be swapped out. I think there's also the other side of that from like users that have assets on other chains that they want to make valuable again, right? Like they could have assets on other chains that are dead at this point, so they want to be able to bring them over and use them on Base in a Base app. And
Yes.
that's what I've seen. I've seen
Yes.
a lot of people ask for like, I have, you know, things, artwork stored on IPFS pins or Arweave or wherever they might live. Can I bring those assets over and use them in mini apps and whatnot? So I think it's dual-sided in that way, where it's like I have dead assets on chains that I'd like to use, and then the other side of like, okay, where would I like to put my assets now that you know I have a place?
So I think, you know, I didn't get into the asset stuff, but like the team, like the Base protocol team and the builder team is working on ways to make bridging assets from other chains into Base much easier, much simpler, much more cost effective. And that's what we all mean when we say Base is for everyone, and Base is a bridge, not an island, because like it just needs to be easier at the end of the day, and that's what we want.
You guys mentioned that 2 gigs limit as an upload now for Base chain. Does that 2 gigs live on the chain?
So the 2 gig thing we just recently announced is for videos.
Zora's video. Yep.
When you're posting on the social feed, we push the data to IPFS and it's pinned there.
Okay, so you guys are pinning it, not the creator.
Yep. And over time, we hope to push that limit to higher and higher. Right now, to be honest, what we see and what we want to be very cognizant of is like, because the Base app is globally available, there's a spectrum of device types, right? You have like in some places high-end iOS devices, and other places lower-end Android devices. And we see, especially on the lower-end Android devices, memory issues, heap allocation problems, and crashes. So we just want to be very careful as we roll these things out, that we are no longer building a wallet. We are building literally a social media network and an app, right? And so there's lots of things we're putting in terms of performance optimizations in the Base app, even things like the app will be aware of your device classification and then change actually like how we do renderings and animations and file uploads based on the device type. Like crush your memory profile.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, as long as they're like available in their compressed forms, you can choose whatever you'd like. Yeah. Is it always going to be pin based, or are you going to allow creators to kind of take control of their storage? Because like they're not relying on you to pin it for them.
Yeah. So like we will give the expectation is for creators to have full control.
Awesome.
Here. Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah, I thank you. That I know that's a big concern for creators, especially after the whole cloud storage debacle and NFTs and whatnot.
Yeah.
So thank you. And one last thing, I'm sorry, I know I said one last one before. You mentioned Farcaster Zora being used within the base app. Could you explain that so that our developers can understand how to best use that within their mini apps? So like the timeline is Zora, or the pictures, the timeline is Farcaster, are the pictures Zora and the creator coin Zora? Could you go into that, please? Thank you.
Yeah. So that's actually a great question. So let me just talk about, like, in general, the couple major protocols we're using and how we're using them. So Farcaster, the protocol, is effectively the protocol that powers the social graph. And when someone creates a post, they cast it, and that content, the text, the image, or the video is placed on chain or placed onto the Farcaster protocol, right? And so that's what you see when you scroll the video feed or the text feed. As part of creating content, a user can choose to coin that content. And so that content then is also, one, placed on the Farcaster protocol, but two, it uses Zora contracts to coin the content, and then it can be available in the Zora client as well. But a token is created using the Zora contracts. That token that represents your content can then be traded on open markets, basically DEXs, and that can be traded there. And then the actual content itself, the video, the image, whatever, is pushed up to IPFS and stored. And then the sort of the creator mechanics are governed by the Zora contract. And then the third protocol we use is XMTP for chat. The one-on-one chats or the group chats are all powered by XMTP. That is completely end-to-end encrypted. There are no backdoors. They have a path to decentralization, full decentralization. It's a great protocol. And the cool thing is, like, you can integrate agents, like AI agents like Banker and Clinker, etc. That just seamlessly work with XMTP. No permission needed. You just, like, think of, like, Banker as a user or a friend that you're adding into your group chat.
Very cool, thank you. And the name service is the Farcaster name service, right, with the base? Because you guys have two base and Farcaster.
Yes, great question. So the main name services, it's all powered by ENS. There are some complexities around identity that, like, we're working through, but for users that are onboarding to the base app, we give them all a base name. They can, like, we effectively pay for it, give them a base name. Base names are fully compatible with ENS. It's built on top of ENS. And then for users that already have a Farcaster account, they have what's called an F name, and they can link that F name to the base app. And you may notice, like, when you're scrolling the feed, you may see, like, jesse.base.eth with, like, a square to signify, like, the base logo, or you may see DWR, like Dan Romero.farcaster.eth with the Farcaster arches logo. And so it just represents, like, where or what type of identity that person has chosen to use as part of the base app.
Thank you.
Love it. Cool. This was super fun. I'm excited for the whole camp attendees to just build some incredible mini apps. Please don't hesitate to, like, message me on Twitter or DM me in the base app. Just do @Chintan, and then I have, like, a lazy line PFP. I'd love to try your mini apps as y'all are building it. Post in the base app and tag me or Jesse and whoever else. We will give it a go. And if you want feedback, we'll happily give it to you too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chintan. Really
Cool.
appreciate it, man.
All right. Have fun
See you at
building, y'all.
Summit on Wednesday, right?
Yes,
You'll be at
see
the
you there.
Build-a-thon, right? All right.
Yeah,
Awesome.
It's gonna be fun.
Thank you for your
Cool.
time.
Bye, y'all.
Cheers.
Cheers. Awesome.
All right, Addy.
Awesome,
I'm going to let
awesome,
you take
awesome.
it away and continue with the session. I'll stop my
Sounds
yapping.
good. Yeah, no, you're good, man. Appreciate it felt like a podcast there. That was really dope. I like that. Yeah, man. Chintan giving you guys some gems And now we're going into the CAP portion of things. This week, we're going to be talking about validation, going from prototype to production. What does that look like now moving forward? And today specifically, we'll be talking about more or less just understanding validation of your project, what you're building, and now the distribution, how to go about it. Because I think that's important, especially with us just talking about Farcaster and just making sure that you guys are getting visibility on that. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Alrighty. So validation to distro, right? I think we're all in a phase of now, and I'm assuming, because I'm assuming now that being that we're in week 3 now, that your MVPs are now somewhat built, right? And at this point now, you're going from prototype to production, right? So what does that look like now in trying to either validate your idea and continue to distribute your app? Okay. So I think one of the first things you have to ask yourself is, does anyone actually want this, right? And I think that kind of goes back to the point that Chintan was saying, right? Trying to make an app that is not so forceful with jargon, right? You definitely have to think about what is that one thing users want and not layer it with so much jargon, right? Like minting or, cratering or, all these jargons that we're just so used to, right? Degen, right? Like traditional Web 2 folks don't know what these jargons are. And as much as we want to educate them on this, I'm going to be very honest with you, they don't care. They don't care, right? And I think the important thing is to layer that with just the technology, right? Underneath it, right? And we don't really have to say, hey, this is a degen product, right? Like, no, just show us what it can do, right? What is that one thing that it can really do? And the from prototype to production, these are just principles, right? These are principles that you can apply anywhere, not only here with Ohara, but just overall as a builder, because I believe by these principles too as well. Because I also don't want you to think that, if you go onto another platform, you don't have to clean up your code or you don't have to get an audit, right? I think there's different nuances for different scenarios, and I'll go deeper into what I mean by that, right? So yeah, validate, right? Does anyone actually want this, right? And then think about your code itself, right? Like think about edge cases. Think about, is my code clean enough for me to now go and publish this app and making sure that there's no bugs, there's no, weird user flow, right? And I think Modu does an excellent job refactoring. I don't think I've had to refactor my code in a while. But from time to time, if I really do feel like, hey, I think Modu should refactor my code just to make sure that there's no duplicates of my code, I'll tell Modu, hey, can you refactor this for scale, right? So refactoring is just more or less just cleaning up your AI generated code, making sure there's no duplicates, because in doing so, that could also generate bugs. And you want to make sure that overall on the back end of things rather than the front end things are clean as well. So yes, UI, UX matters, but on the back end of things, that also matter as well when it comes to code, right? Now, security audit may not apply so much here, but I truly do believe that having an audit from one of your friends or just builders and say, hey, can you just look over this app for me, making sure that everything is okay, right? From the Connect wallet, from, Third Web, smart contracts, right? Just to making sure that everything is okay and it makes sense. Because just like humans, AI does not always write the secure code. And you just want to make sure that you have the best interests in your community. I just think that's important, regardless if you think that the security is low risk or high risk. Like, I think it's just important to have like a peer review of your build and just showing your build to community members and just getting that feedback before it goes out to the masses. Or you can publish this to the masses and then also iterate on that feedback, right? Either or, right? I just think it's important to just get an audit of like, hey, does this look good? Does this feel good? If so, what can be improved, right? Now, I wouldn't say hire a specialist in this scenario, but if you are looking to now scale this, to monetize and like publish this and outside of the ecosystem, then at that point, yeah, I would definitely hire specialists for any certain gaps that you may not have. I'm not technical at all. I have some technical nuances, but if I wanted to vibe code something, I would probably vibe code it to like 80%, ship it, see what people think. And if I want to get more additional features and just like to make it really robust at that point, then yes, I would hire someone to potentially do my audits, to potentially making sure that my user flow makes sense, right? But I just think that now we're in a place where you can do 80 to 90% of the work up front without needing to like lean on somebody at the very beginning of your building stage. So only reason for that is because not everyone can vibe code, right? Not everyone can do certain things, right? Some are technical, but some lack the creative instinct, and that they may have to hire a UX UI designer, right? So that's what I mean about like hiring specialists pertaining on certain gaps or skill gaps that you may have. And there's nothing wrong with that because you could learn on the fly as well. And then just continuous iteration, right? As once you ship your product this week, get the feedback, improve based on what you would like to see improve, right? Based on those yielded results that you want, ship it, get the feedback, iterate, and go back at it again. I think the beautiful thing about Ohara is that they make it super, 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 super easy for you to just go back to your app, edit, and publish again. So don't be scared. I know some of you guys tend to be a little bit scared, just kind of just like putting yourself out there. Trust me, I've been in those shoes. But be flexible, right? Be flexible with the fact that you're doing something that no one is doing right now, right? As much as it sounds like there's a lot of people vibe coding, I kid you not, in my circle, there's zero people vibe coding. So you're doing something that a lot of folks are not doing, to be honest with you. So the simple truth, and I think this is something that Chintan also hit on too. All of this just kind of makes sense as to like what Chintan was saying today. Most apps fail because nobody wants them. But the good thing is that with vibe coding, with developing with these new AI tools, you get to failure a lot quicker and you're able to iterate a lot faster. So if you feel like, man, my app is not doing so great, it's okay. It's not like you wasted tens of thousands of dollars. You can always iterate on that failed idea per se. And I don't even want to call it a failed idea because sometimes it's just probably based on the user flow or how you're tokenizing it or how you're, setting up your user flow, right? It could be as simple as just adding a CTA, right? It's not a failed idea, but in that very moment, it feels like failure, and that's okay because you're able to iterate that much faster than we were able to 9 months ago. Okay. So being able to test your idea, see how people respond to it, it's very important. But that feedback, right? And validating that idea is small, right? It may seem big, but it's very small on the grand scale of things because that's what will continue to go ahead and push you forward to distribute smart. And when it comes to distribution, it's all about testing it. And when it comes to this ecosystem, right, my first approach are two things, X and Farcaster. And even myself, right, I'm also still learning the ins and outs of Farcaster because before I was always the one to like share it on X and get feedback and people will love it, right? But I think now, because we have Farcaster, you really are able to meet your audience where they're at. And I think that's a beautiful thing, right? I think when you're building in Web 2, you often build to the abyss because you're building for such a mass audience that may not like be reachable. But with Farcaster, it seems reachable. It seems obtainable because that's your audience, right? That's like your first audience. And that's the audience that you get to test your idea first with, right? And one of the things that we're going to go over with on how to get discovered is a manifest on how to get discovered on Farcaster. And Slav, I'm going to call you on this one because I'm still learning this, which is really dope, honestly. And we'll do a live go through on what that really looks like when we're building up our manifest for Farcaster. And then on X, right? On X, you're able to share your wins, share your prototype, right? I mentioned this on the very first week. I want builders to start using the Ohara recording feature to record your builds. Let us see your builds. I think this is the week where more than ever we want to be able to see how it works. Because believe it or not, you just posting your app, it's one thing, but if I can see how it works first and then use it, it just makes more sense. Because you're now putting that faith and that trust into somebody and saying, hey, this works. This is how it works. And me as a user, I feel a lot more comfortable now going into an app that pretty much knowing how it works. You know what I'm saying? So definitely record your builds. It's okay. I know that some of you may be a little bit shy. The good thing is that with a recorder on Ohara, you don't have to be on camera. You could just simply just walk us through the app. Okay. That's ideally what we want to see. We want to walk us through your journey as to why you built this. Because that would allow me to say, hey, like, this is dope. Let me go check it out. All right. It makes me feel comfortable. So validate small, distribute smart. So why Farcaster for testing? As I mentioned, I think we all could know this. Your target audience already there, right? Crypto natives who like to try new things. I think that it makes it a lot easier to get instant feedback based on the comments, being able to just have a small community, right? And by having a small community, you can go into these niche basis community, whether it's for trading, AI, right? And you could say, hey, I built this AI on Ohara. Can you guys, check it out, right? Being able to find a community is so much easier versus like Web 2, right? Web 2, you have to go like on Reddit and have millions of people, overlook your build and not even be interested. Although that's a build that, this is for a certain community, right? So within Farcaster, your builds don't get lost into the abyss. I would say that you do have to be a little bit active on Farcaster. That's something that I'm learning myself, is just being a little bit more active, being more intentional on how you're using Farcaster, because that's how you're able to go ahead and get that instant feedback, get honest reactions. And if it works, that's a plus, right? But get into the habit of using Farcaster X in parallel. Because if you want your mini app to be successful, this is what it will take. Again, I'm learning this in real time. Just because for me as a founder, as an entrepreneur, as a builder, like for me, it's a lot simultaneously, doing this camp. And then now I have to go into X and I have to go into Farcaster, maybe TikTok, maybe Instagram, maybe Facebook. It's a lot of social media all at once for me. So I'm trying to get into that mode of like, all right, let me just try this Farcaster thing out. I love it. I've been like in the rabbit hole, just experimenting. So if you see me on Farcaster, just like posting up like multiple apps, it's just because I'm testing things out. But that's part of the game, right? Testing things out to see if it works. As you guys know, we're in a very experimental phase when it comes to vibe coding and when it comes to distribution. So experiment. There's nothing wrong with that. So validation, one simple test. And Chintan also hit on this too as well, right? It has to capture value the moment users see the app, right? The moment it captures that value within less than 30 seconds, then you have something, right? But the important thing is not only to ship your idea, but you also have to talk to community members, right? Asking the right questions, right? And one of the questions I always ask, at what point in my app did you feel stuck? Or at what point in my app did you feel any friction point? Because you want to iterate based on that feedback. You also want to be analytical as to like at what point, from the moment you got on there to the moment you left the app was like the hardest for you, right? These are things that you need to track metrics, right? I think it's one thing to just like build an app and say, all right, cool, right? But then there's another thing to now like be intentional with how you're tracking users, on how you're tracking clicks, right? And Ohara does this beautifully by seeing how many times your app was opened. And all of these things are important when you're building an app. So ship your idea, talk to community members, iterate based on the feedback, and then track your metrics. See how well you're doing week over week. Don't try to over fantasize of the idea that I want to go viral, right? I think incremental steps, incremental gains are important, just as how quick you get up there to the ladder, right? Tracking metrics is something that at first I was like daunting. I was like, oh, I don't want to track metrics. Why? Like I just built this for like the past 80 hours. The last thing I want to do is just track metrics, right? But these metrics is what's going to talk to you. It's going to allow you to iterate based on feedback. So it's not only building, but it's also now keeping the sustainability of the product alive and making sure that you are getting those clicks, week over week. So distribution equals getting found, right? And I think for a lot of folks, and even for me, when I first started using Ohara, my app existed, but nobody knew about it until I started posting about it, right? And I think with the Farcaster app manifest document that you're able to pretty much, what I like to say, tell Mo to build it up for you. It allows you to be discoverable on Farcaster. So think of the manifest as like your app's business card, where it has like the title and it has all the metadata information about your app. And then it makes your app discoverable in Farcaster. Users can find it and then install it properly through Ohara, and from what I'm learning too as well on Farcaster as well. And I'll show you guys on how to navigate that very shortly. So what is a manifest? Again, just a simple file that tells Farcaster what is your app called, what it looks like, what it does, and how to open it. That's really what it is. But it's all embedded in the code in a JSON file. And then there's certain things that you need to do to make sure that it authenticates from Farcaster to Ohara. But trust me, it's a simple process. At first, I was like, wait, how do I do this? But more or less, it's a super easy process that I'll be more than happy to go ahead and walk through shortly. Let's just make sure this is all right. Cool. I'm going to walk through the manifest on how to do this. So I was playing around with it. Let me share my screen here. Awesome. Bring up my build. Let me also open up Farcaster. This is important. Let me just log in with my phone just so I have it teed up for you guys. Cool. So I was building complexity, right? And I'm actually redoing this again. This is probably like my third time redoing this, guys. And not because I want it to be perfect, but there's certain things that have shifted and I'm like, you know what, this could be better from a branding perspective. But I'm going to go into, just want to show you guys the prompt that I told Modu. There were certain things that it didn't verify. So you have to go back and forth just to make sure that it's set up correctly. But ideally, once you're done with your build, or not even done, because I don't think you're ever done with the build, but once you're ready to publish, there's going to be a moment where now you have to tell Modu to update the manifest file for Farcaster. It could be as simple as that. And I'm trying to find the prompt here that I used. But ideally, oh wow, it generated a logo for me. I didn't even know that. This is awesome. But ideally, you tell Modu to update the manifest code for Farcaster. And from there, it'll know what exactly you want it to be. I'm just trying to populate this to see if it pops up. Okay, so here it is. No, it's not that. Okay, so I put update manifest for Farcaster, and it understood immediately what I wanted to do. So as you can see, it's a manifest JSON file. So it pretty much updates everything that it needs to know based on your app, right? The name, what you're naming it, and that all comes from after publishing it, from what I understood and what I've been like just playing around with. And then it's going to just fill all this information up. And ideally, you would have to go ahead and publish again. Once you publish again, there's going to be a link that you share. And let me just refresh this because I'm not sure why the build is not showing. There we go. All right. So when we click publish, just wait, because this part is important, right? Because at first, when I was doing this, I thought that it was the URL from mini apps from Ohara.ai, but it's not. It's a different URL, and I believe the URL comes from Versal, if I'm not mistaken. But once this populates, I'll show you guys the.
If you hit publish and you change anything in the description or the name, it'll let you publish. It just thinks you didn't change anything. So just put a period.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
There we go. Appreciate that.
And yeah, you're right. If you go into the configure tab, you'll see that there's like a URL directly for your mini app. And that's where that Verso link will be.
Yep, there as well. I just needed to publish this, but yeah, you're absolutely right. In the configuration or when you publish, either or, the link would be there. Once you get that link, you go over to Farcaster. This won't be activated right away. You would have to go to profile, I believe. Not profile. Where I'm at. Settings. And in settings, it's going to be like a tab where it says developer tools. And you would just need to like highlight this, enable developer tools. All right. Once you enable developer tools, you go to developer and you're going to see 3 tabs here. You want to go to manifest. And this is where you would need to input your domain. I already did this before show and tell. Let me input this. Oh, no. I see what happened. It's because when I shared on Farcaster, that's when it shows the link. So you go here, copy URL. And when I mean here, I mean in settings, copy URL. We go back into the manifest in Farcaster. And what you want to do is remove the HTTPS and then have it fetch it. So because I did this already, it's been associated with my account. It's proof of ownership that I am the one who built this. And then you can see who is assigned by, the domain, and just all the values that it has to show, again, the manifest, right? So I have my tags, AI research, productivity. So these are all things that once you input this domain, you need to go ahead and I can show you here for purposes only. These are the value inputs that you need to input here yourself so it can be discoverable on the Farcaster app. So once you go ahead and input that information, you know, the name, app icon, subtitles, the description of your app, and then just like the categories, because this is really important. This is how it's going to index your app. And at that point, it's going to give you a manifest JSON file. I know for myself, and Slava, this is where I'm going to tag you in because everybody's experiences is different. I know that once I had the JSON file, I had to go back into Modu and kind of like tell like, hey, like this is the correct way. And then it kind of like fixed itself. And then I kind of went back and forth and I authenticated and then everything was okay. Can you share a little bit about more your experience and what you had to do on your end to make this work?
If it's a older app, just like this one, this was an older mini app, correct? It's not a new.
Oh no, this is a new app. This is this is brand new.
Yeah. Anytime you change a tag or you want to add a tag, you will have to republish. So just because you change the manifest on Farcaster doesn't mean the manifest was updated on your mini app. So once you get the structure and you put the tags in, you get the manifest, you can then go back to your mini app and make sure that Modu gets the same structure. And then this way it'll update and put in the new tags. And yes, I did have to do that. I had to add tags, description, title, and the primary category. Primary category is really important because that's the category that your mini app will be indexed under for base app. So base app has, I think, 12 primary categories that you can choose from. News, music, productivity are just some of them, entertainment, but there's a drop down. So if you hit the drop down, there's no way for you to get it wrong. You'll know exactly which ones you can select. And those will specifically put them in, those containers that mini apps belong in for base app.
Yep. Now, I do have a question for you, because I'm also still learning about the ecosystem. So when you go ahead and set up your manifest, ideally you don't pop up right away though, correct?
No, it'll take some time. It takes like, I think 10-15 minutes for it to index anyway.
Okay.
But once you're indexed, it is your iterations are live. So once your app is indexed, anytime you make any changes and you click on your app within base app, you'll see the changes right away. There's like almost no lag that I've experienced at all. Yeah.
Gotcha. So I guess just to confirm here with you, so when we're talking about going live on distribution, is it also going live on the base app and Farcaster?
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
nice,
because
nice,
base app
nice.
is using the Farcaster kind of a protocol for their social feed and the mini apps. So as long as you're conforming to the protocol on Farcaster, it's by default the protocol that base app is using now. Yeah. Those were the questions that I kind of asked Chintan to understand which parts of base app are powered by which protocol so that we can best make use of it.
Nice. Appreciate that, man. And if you can just, I know there was a place where you have walked me through analytics. Is it on the Farcaster or is it on the base app?
It would be on Farcaster. So you would go to your developer tab and click on Coinplexity. Your mini apps right there. Yeah. So your Coinplexity will show.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, because I didn't see that last night. I was like, wait a second. I thought you could see the analytics. But yeah, this is
I think
perfect.
it takes some time for it to actually populate, get the 24-hour analytics populated. So it might not show up right away. And I have seen the numbers lag behind a little bit, so you won't see live numbers. So I'm not sure what the timing is there, but I can definitely find out from Farcaster.
Awesome. Appreciate that, man. But yeah, I just wanted to show this to you guys because I think, when we're talking about metrics, these are some of the metrics you want to be looking at, right? Your DAUs, your daily active users, right? Your opens per day, your transactions per day. And these are metrics that you want to go ahead and track because this signals something, right? If you feel like, and mind you, I did this last night, just so I can get accustomed of like integrating more with the Farcaster ecosystem rather than just like building and just publishing it on X and calling it a day. I want to be intentional as to like what exactly I'm going to be building that's going to leave an impact in the Farcaster ecosystem. So I am testing the grounds with Coinplexity, but as I mentioned earlier, like Coinplexity is something now that I've like pivoted and like transforming this into something else because I think I want to make this as easy as possible for users to use the moment they open it up. Okay. So, I'm not sure how accurate this is, but total 13 opens. Hey, I'll take it for just being last night if that is true. But this is something that is key, right? Users that remove the mini app, right? This definitely shows you like the churn rate, right? Like why users not using it, right? Users are removing it. So it definitely gives you a high level understanding of what are the metrics you should look for, because this is what's going to enable you to iterate based on that feedback. And Farcaster makes this a lot easier for you to look at and iterate time over time. And it's as simply as like going back home and saying, hey guys, please check out my app. Let me know your thoughts. And you look on the feed and you get that feedback, right? Like everything is so integrated. And I think that's what makes this really, really fascinating when it comes to building apps into an ecosystem that matters, right? Your audience is here, so why not build for them? If you want to validate ideas or you want to validate your idea that you're doing into, right? It's easy as going into your channels, right? For me, these are my channels, right? And these are because I'm part of these like communities, right? I'm a founder. I love gaming. I love fitness, right? So, not all apps needs to be Degen. Maybe it needs to be like a Degen app, right? So if you go into fitness, there are 860 members here, right? I much rather build an app for 867 members and build here rather than building a fitness app and go into the abyss of nothingness, right? Like, this is where your audience is at, right? Leverage Farcaster to validate your idea and also start the community based around your app, right? So whatever your app is, you know, leverage this. This is where your community members are at. Meet them where they're at. Build for them. I think that is all I want to touch on today. Wednesday, I really want to talk about a little bit more about like just the marketing aspect of it and how to go about it, how to leverage Ohara when it comes to marketing. I think that Ohara presents us something really cool, and that's the ability to prompt images and videos for your apps, whether you want to integrate them within the app or just want to leverage them as like marketing material, marketing assets. It's, again, a full one-shot suite for you to really leverage Ohara in creating marketing materials. And what does that look like, right? Ideally, Modu already knows what you're building, so why not have Modu spit out some cool graphics or some cool videos based on your prompt, right? So we'll talk a little bit more about that on Wednesday, just more or less like the marketing aspect. I don't want you to focus too much on it. I just want you to just ship and build, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, just ship it, iterate, and build. But a little marketing doesn't hurt nobody to really show some flavor to your builds and have users, you know, anticipate on whatever you're working on. Whether it's mimetic, whether it's funny, whether it's, you know, true, whatever it is, right? Like, look at this, right? I didn't even know that I prompted. Did I? I probably did. But it built me a logo, and this logo is fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is fire. I would use this for whatever I'm doing next. Again, so many tools, so many cool things that you could do with Ohara. And Wednesday we'll tap into a little bit more about the marketing aspect, and maybe we'll bring on Melody to kind of just chat more about the marketing aspect of things. But with that being said, it has been the ultimate pleasure to be here with you guys today. Happy Monday, happy building. I want to see those builds this week. Put them in the Discord, put them on Farcaster, put them on X. Let's start seeing those builds. Happy to give feedback, happy to give you guys, you know, just more or less moral support. Whatever you guys need, I'm here. And building onwards as always, man.